Welcome to the third of our In Conversations with me, Neil Beddoe, actor artistic director. And my guest this morning is Karen Chodkiewicz, who's an actor performer and has been, in fact, worked for actor once in the past. So let's say hello properly. Hello, Karen. How are you?
Good morning, Neil. I'm fine, thank you.
That's good. That's good. It's really lovely to have you here, Zooming with me this morning. I was thinking that we've known each other quite a long time now. It was 2002, I think, that we first. Yeah. And
Yeah.
actor was doing a community play project in Lawrence Weston, where you live.
Yeah.
Do you remember that meeting?
I do. I think we were invited along from the after school club by Sam, and just to come along and help, maybe sell tickets and make teas or sell cakes and stuff like that. And we came along to that meeting. I think by the time I left, I was a bit bamboozled with about 5 different parts in this show. So
Yes.
Since then, there's been no turning back.
No, I think you've been in the performances every year since then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, you know, that's how it goes. Yeah, I mean, that was the Stepping Stones play, which is about the history of Lawrence Weston, and you were involved in that, and a lot of things sprang on from that. Not the least, you actually taking up the job of local coordinator for us in Lawrence Weston.
I did. I loved it. I actually loved it. Yeah.
You did some great things with that.
There were some great projects. I think we did a big thing for sort of like under fives. There was the rock school, which that was great. That was sort of targeted, I think, at children that sometimes slip under the net.
Yeah.
The ones that are a little bit quieter, they don't shout the loudest. So we had a group of youngsters that were singing, playing guitars, and basically like rock music and stuff like that. But it was a huge success, and my son was involved in that. And I did have a little smile to myself when I realised that my son-in-law the other day mentioned the rock school because he was there as well.
Oh wow.
Which is Trudy's husband, but I know there were a lot of younger ones that were singing and stuff as well. So yeah, it was a really good project.
Yeah, it was, and it was very much your initiative as well, very much your idea. But we went on to do quite a few different projects. I'm just going to nip in and have a little photo back. Here we go. So this play was All Young Once. There you are. On the
end.
Yeah. If I remember that,
dressing down for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think you're all in this sort of night gear because the idea was that this group were the disgruntled neighbours complaining at the young people making a noise. So the show was called All Young Once, if you remember. It was basically about teenagers through the decades, and there you all are. The moaning neighbours, you with the group from the bungalow project. But that was a good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I might stay with the photos for a bit. Some absolute beauties here. There you are. Look in your glory.
Oh, from the No Ones.
Yeah, so we were doing the No Ones show, maybe, and the No Ones made a guest appearance at All Young Once, which I thought was a great moment. But I mean, the No Ones was full of great moments. It was a great show, and yeah.
I think in that show I ended up singing a solo, actually, in All Young Ones, and I was absolutely terrified because it was my local area and most people knew me. But it was, I lived it down, Neil. I did live it down. It was a fabulous show, and it was really great fun to do. And there were so many young people involved, and all the songs and everything. It was great. It was great.
I want to take you back to talk a little bit more about. I mean, the No Ones is a show you did with the Actor Advance group, but I invited you and Sam and Rita from Lawrence Weston to join with 3 women from Harcliffe to do a touring show called For Love Nor Money. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes.
That was clearly on my top 5 of actor shows.
Yeah.
And that's the one we took that to the Rotterdam Festival. In fact, the No Ones went to Rotterdam as well.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
They were fabulous shows. And For Love Nor Money, I like the whole idea that we started off as youngsters at school, in the school toilets, you know, having a sneaky cigarette and singing lovey-dovey songs and stuff like that into hairbrushes. And then gradually how people's lives change and how they progress and go in different directions. But there's always still that bond of friendship when you get back together, even after 20, 30 years. But yeah, it was a great show. It was great fun to do it.
I remember with For Love Nor Money, though, it started off, we got the 6 of you together to say, what should the show be about?
Yeah.
And it was a story of yours that got us going with the theme of, you know, what happens if people born in a cancer state. Do you stay and make it better, or do you get out of there as quickly as possible? And that was all from a story you told about meeting an old friend in an old school friend in Asda, I think it was.
Yeah, I think that was because sometimes I think people they tend to sort of like try to elaborate a little bit of what their life is when you think, really, well, I actually knew where you came from. So it's interesting. It is interesting.
Well, it was fascinating as well when we took it to Rotterdam, was that because the theme of the show in the end was obviously was about friendship and how people change, but it was also about housing, local housing, and it resonated so much with the people in Rotterdam afterwards.
Yeah,
you know, the same issues.
That was one as well when we had it was to do with housing. We had a council meeting and we had some of the girls in the audience dressed like old ladies, and when we sort of like used the audience as the people at the meeting, and the old ladies were stood up and shouting out things to people, and a lot of the people in the audience didn't realise that they were actually planted there. I really thought they were proper old ladies. It was great. It was absolutely great.
It was great, and it worked so well when we took it round Bristol on a little tour as well. I'm going to go back to our photographs. Otherwise, I'm going to talk to you all morning about just one thing. There we go. So there you are in the No Ones. Like I say, No Ones was a show that we toured as well. And with the same group, we went on to do this show, Escape to This. I don't know how well you remember this one. You were sort of a focal point in this show. It was very much about you.
Yeah, I think this one was more about a mum was a bit dissatisfied with her life and wanted to do other things. And then in the meantime, realised that her child is online talking to some stranger that, and arranging to meet somebody strange that they didn't know. So, that was quite an interesting one.
Here's a photo of your son Jake. Because,
Jake.
We asked Jake to do the music for Escape to This. We found this photograph of him as we were going through the archives looking for photos for this.
That's a great picture, actually. You'd love that. Yeah, they would love that. He thoroughly enjoyed it. He had quite a bit to do with actor after the rock school. I think he did a bit of an apprenticeship with you with Katie, doing the lighting and everything like that. But it was such a good thing to do for a young person, because I think it's sort of like it helped Jake a lot, kept him sort of like off the street. He had something to focus on, something that was interested in. He still has a massive influence in his life with music. He plays and he sings and everything, but it was great, and I was very, very proud of him. I think, he got ribbed terribly by all the girls there and teased all the time. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. But it was great, because I think he was involved with the music with the No Ones as well, and actually came to Rotterdam with us. But it was a really good time in his life, and he quite often talks about it.
That's really.
But the actors it helped sort of keep him in the right sort of direction at one point of time. So it was great.
Yeah, nice bloke. Okay, let's see what
Oh,
else
he's a
we
good
got.
man. I'm very proud of him.
Quite right. Ah, now I've forgotten this one was here. This. Oh, as well as doing, after we were doing the sort of the more hard-hitting shows with the advanced group, which we were a part of, we made this choice to do a touring show for children, a sort of a Christmas, a family show. And here you are in Mother Ice Art, which is one of my very favourites, as one of the Floppets.
Oh, I, I remember it well. It was hilarious. It was a great show with some really, really funny moments in it.
Yeah.
And I would be desperately when I wasn't on stage, like trying to peek through the curtains without being seen, to watch some of the scenes there because they were just so funny.
Yeah.
But it really was a great show. The children absolutely loved it. And I think Mother Iceheart, we actually brought all the children from my after school club to come and watch it. And I got called Flop It for weeks and weeks after by all the children. But they loved it. But it was I think it was one of our best children's shows, definitely, without a doubt. It was great.
It was a lovely one.
Great.
There's another, actually, I think you did a bit of a run with our Christmas shows, because this, again, is one of my favourites. Here you are in the Land of Lost Things.
Oh, that was a good one as well.
Yeah.
I think that came up as a discussion originally with the group about what happens to things that you lose. In my house, you can never find scissors, sellotape, teaspoons. It's all those things, a pen. Whenever you want one, you can never find one. And I think we were discussing what happens to these things, and why is there always one odd sock? And I think this is what we built that idea up on.
Yeah.
About what happens to lost things, and then we built up to what would happen to a lost person, which was great.
I think that, yeah, I mean, my favourite thing about The Land of Lost Things, I mean, it was just a great show altogether, but it was the fact that often in children's shows, you have a child as the central character. Because we didn't have any children, because with this group, we were meeting on Thursday morning, children were all at school. And then we had this brainwave of making the lost character, the central character, an old woman who was excluded. And here she is, Irene, who we sadly lost a few years ago. But
I know, bless her.
It just made it a fantastic show. I'm going to move on. You see, the thing, one of the fascinating things, Karen, is you've done so many shows with acta and all different sorts of performances, from, you know, knockabout comedy to real tragedy. Here you are in Gas Girls. I think this is the moment where you're delivering your monologue about your nephew who has been killed at the front.
Oh, that was such a sad scene to do, and I actually did cry doing that scene, and I think it sort of like touched the audience because you could relate to it. It was such a moving scene.
Here you are with your onstage nephew, played by Ruben.
Ruben, bless him. He was such a lovely boy. Yeah. Absolutely lovely boy. But it was great. I think I'm telling him off there about chatting to the women.
Yeah.
In that scene.
I think you are.
But I loved being part of the Gas Girls, and I think it was a big piece of history that local people didn't know about.
No.
I think people were quite sort of like taken aback by it. But it was great. And these things, historical things, if we don't talk about them and show them, they get lost.
I think that's right. Yeah. And, you know, that's something we've done quite a lot at acta over the years, and you've been involved in that.
Yeah.
Oh, and also very different sort of shows. Here we have you, a couple of shots here of you in Selfies, which I wanted to include because it's just nice to see you in all the different sorts of... you're a very hard-hitting newspaper woman. In fact, you were a bit of a baddie in this one, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was actually.
You
You
were?
can tell that by the posh blouse.
Yeah, you were a sort of investigative journalist, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think about this was. I think this was when Tracy was in this one as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
She,
yeah. I didn't think either of us were that. We weren't the heroes in this,
no, I think you were both playing baddies.
which was
But
quite. It was quite nice. Sometimes it's quite nice to play a bit of a baddie.
yeah,
Oh,
well,
there we are.
here
We
you
were
are
baddies
again.
in this one. We
Yeah,
were baddies in this one.
yeah, you were the big baddie. It's a Circus of Marvels that we did just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Here we are in 2018. I just love Circus of Marvels. It was
It was great fun, and the cast were amazing. I loved them
yeah,
all, but we had such fun making that show, and everybody's part in it was so different and so individual, but they were all so good. It was almost like you do your part and then you watch somebody else and think, oh, I wish I was doing that. It was lovely. That was a fab. And to be perfectly honest, Neil, I think most of the shows we've done, I've loved all of them. I've
yeah.
absolutely loved all of them. But yeah, the Circus of Marvels was great. It was really good.
I'm gonna. Oh, is that the last one? Oh yes, that's the last photograph. Yeah, I mean, I was going to talk to you a bit about clippies because we're doing that. Well, we were doing that before lockdown started, and hopefully we'll be doing it again soon. But I have spoken at length. I was talking to Ingrid about clippies on another film. But yeah, so what do you reckon then? What's your favourite? Have you got a favourite?
My favourite of all time has got to be the No One.
Oh, really?
To be the No Ones. That was my favourite show. I think there was a bit of everything in that, and the reaction from the audience was just great, because obviously we were really, singing along and all being completely rubbish, and then at the end we all sang properly, and we weren't that bad actually.
No.
Everything, and the reaction from the audience was great, and there were some really funny moments in that show, and a lot of ad-libbing, and a lot of mistakes that we'd sort of bluffed over and everything else, including the sofas on my foot episode with Rita. But it was such fun to do. We had great fun doing it. We had great fun singing the songs after, and everybody joining in, and it was quite nice actually being a No One for a little while.
Yeah, I thought you were great.
I think
the theme of the show as well, which is about, I mean, all based on the talent shows you get on telly. People wanting to be something else, and in the end, it was all about friendship and the fact that this group of women just grew to love each other and to support each other. And it wasn't about...
there were some lovely backstories to every character, and there were some really sad bits, and there were some hilariously funny bits, and there were sinister bits in it. I think there was something in that show for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. We also dealt with debt as well, didn't we? That was and loan shark. It was all in there. So
it was all in there. I think stuff that everybody could relate to. But yeah, it was fabulous. But it was definitely my after 18 years, it was definitely my favourite show, without a doubt.
I mean, it's interesting for me. Obviously, I'm stepping down next year, and then these interviews are part of that. But obviously, I'm reflecting on my favourite shows of the years. It's very, very difficult to choose. But most of them have got you in it, Karen.
I'm like that. You can't get rid of me, Neil.
Yeah.
Wow. And so a few times over the years I've thought, oh, I'm not going to do another one, and then we get a script and I think, oh, I'll just do this one. But for me, I've had, well, as you know, Neil, I've had a lot of stuff go on in my life. I've had some real trauma and stuff like that, and as actor, as a hobby, I would say, or an interest, sometimes just kept me going. It was just that removal from home and be somewhere else and be somebody else, and having all the support from everybody at acta, for me was very therapeutic. So I thank you all for that. You know what I mean? At times, I think you all propped me up a lot more than you realised, and it was great. But yeah, I've loved being part of acta, and I love everybody who's part of it, and I love all the shows. I love the audience. But yeah, it's been a fabulous journey, definitely.
Well, thank you, Karen, and thank you for all your input over the years, and for spending time with me this morning. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but I promised to keep these films quite short, so that
Okay.
people who watch them we'll be able to do that. So thanks, Karen, very much for all your time at acta, and for being here this morning. And I'd urge everyone who's looking at this interview to look out the acta company's latest film, which they created during lockdown, and watch it all the way through, so you can see Karen's incredible monologue at the end of that, because it really is quite special. So thanks, Karen. Look, I love you. See you soon.
Love you too. Right, thanks, Neil. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.